Hello and welcome to another episode of the Portrait Profit Show. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. You know what? Last night was kind of cool. I know some of you will be watching this in the future, but for those of you watching live, I'm wanting to know how many of you took the time to go outside and watch the lunar eclipse. Tell me in the chat. In fact, share your photographs with me. I want to see them. I've seen some amazing ones so far, and uh, you know what? I think all of them are amazing because that means you took the time. You were interested in something and you went out and did it. You know what? The business of photography is a lot like that. You see an opportunity, something cool, something interesting, and you get out and you do it. Similar stuff. I want to see your photographs though. So if you're watching me right now live, would you do me a favor and post this hashtag live? Hashtag live. That way I know you're watching it right now as we're doing this. So hashtag live. And again, I'd love to see your photographs of the lunar eclipse last night. Put those in the comments too. Let me see those. Uh, hey, Pez, how you doing? Glad you're here. Let's see. What is he saying about that? It was amazing. Good. Good, good, good. Glad you're out there. And Danielle. Hey, Danielle. Glad you're here. Let's see. Robin is here. And Steve. Hey, how's it going? Steve was the speaker at the last Photo Essay Camera Club meeting. And he did a great job sharing his stories from his trips recently to Egypt and Jordan. Thank you for doing that, Steve. So cool. Yep. If you're watching live, please enter hashtag live. And I also want to encourage you to leave comments and leave questions. But before you do, if you haven't already, before leaving a comment, please grant StreamYard permission. You see it on the bottom of your screen right now. And the link that's there, you just click on it. That gives StreamYard permission to use your name and your photograph to tell me that you're here. Otherwise, I don't know. In fact, I might not know anyway, but let me know that you're here in that way, just so I'm aware. Uh, Today we're going to be talking about selling the experience without being salesy, but we're not quite there just yet. So enter that in and share your images from last night. I don't see any just yet. You guys getting them ready? Hey, Tina, glad you're here. And Mark, glad you're here, Mark. Fantastic. Love seeing all this. All right, so I enjoyed photographing the lunar eclipse last night and just watching it. I had known about it coming up and kind of forgot about it until not long before it started. We got out there and just a little bit of shadow was on the moon, and I watched it all the way until there was just a little bit of shadow left on the moon on the other side. So I guess we got out there about 10:15 Central Daylight Time, and then went until I don't remember what time it was. I watched until, but enjoyed every minute of it. Just liked being out there. Of course, it was kind of awesome. My wife brought me a couple of drinks while I was out there, so that was cool. Thank you, Robin. By the way, if you want to remain anonymous, then don't click that the thing you see down on the bottom where you're granting StreamYard permission. If you want to remain anonymous, and of course you don't want to click on that. What it'll show if you click on something is that it will show Facebook user. It won't tell me who said it, but I'll still get the message if you post something. Oh, okay. Well, I can answer that. That's not really part of the show, but I'll be happy to answer that. So let's see. Let me bring that question up. What's the best lens to capture that type of image? So Tina's asking about last night the how to photograph the moon, and there's two things I want to talk about, not just the lens, but the how to create the right image too. But the longer the focal length, that higher the number of the focal length, the better. However, the higher the long the that long that higher number also requires that you have to have it stabilized. So don't even bother trying to handhold it. Put it on a tripod, and what you'll notice is the earth moving. It'll look like the moon is moving, but the earth is moving, and so you're constantly having to adjust as it goes through the sky. So easy thing to do, but something that you'll notice if you haven't done it before. And then the amount of light when the sun is reflecting off of the moon is just as bright as daylight. And so you may be thinking that, before the eclipse, when it's still bright, that the right choice might be, the thought process may be, well, it's dark outside, so therefore I need a longer exposure. No, think about where the subject is, not where the photographer is. The subject is in bright sunlight, and so it's the same as what would be a normal, bright, beautiful, sunny day for you and me. And so maybe 1/25th of a second at 100 ISO is a good place to start. And the when it starts getting covered up by the Earth, so there's a shadow on the moon, you'll notice it getting less and less light. Now, at first, just leave it alone until it gets to a sliver, but then it went to a red. Now, it was not bright, but if you do a long exposure, now it can't be too long because that will cause motion. And so we're actually having to do something we don't want to do, and that's raise the ISO in order to get the right amount of light to make that image look good. So no, not always the right, not always the thing that we want to do, but that was the solution. That's the solution to it. So, how many of you went out there and got some good images? I'm not seeing any. I was hoping that you might post some right here on the Portrait Prophet Show. You're welcome to do that. Just grab your images and put them right here in the comments section. While you're doing that, I want you to be thinking about questions to ask me today, because we have, each time you have the opportunity or advantage of being able to reach out. Now, sometimes I've got so much stuff planned that I can't get to any or many questions, but I'm happy to do that today. So again, and I haven't introduced it just yet, but the topic today is sell the experience without being salesy, which I think we all want to do. By the way, if you can hear my papers rustling, the handout that I have for today. By the way, those who are in my classes get the handouts, but for some reason, my handout is not in its place, and so I'm thinking, well, I just put it in the wrong place. So I'm flipping around trying to find it. But who knows? I'll find it at some point when it matters, which is now. All right. So another reason why I'm saying, show me those photographs of the moon that you got last night. Oh, of course, Tina. My pleasure. All right. I'm going to look at it, get it from a different source, if I can remember where that is. You know what? I don't need it. I know this stuff. All right. We'll see if I do. All right. So we're talking about the selling the experience without being salesy today. But before I do that, let me introduce myself. My name is Jim Landers, and my mission, it's simple. I help portrait photographers, just like you, make a great income doing what they love. Each week, you get tips and systems on the business side of photography designed to help you gain a mastery over marketing and sales, which reduces the struggle that most photographers face, so you can finally get what you deserve. You're in the right place. Welcome to the Portrait Prophet Show. The Portrait Prophet Show is brought to you by Digital Pro Lab and Landers Photography School. So thank you for being here today to hear about selling the experience without being salesy. Now let's talk about what that means. Sell the experience without being salesy. Because I could have just called this Sell the Experience. Or I could have just said something along the lines of don't sound salesy. But I've combined these two. Now, salesy, what does that mean? We all have this preconceived idea about what salespeople are. And generally speaking, our preconceived ideas about things we don't know a whole lot about aren't all that positive. It depends on the subject, of course. But in this instance, we generally think of salespeople as being the slick used car salesperson. By the way, if any of you are used car salespeople, I'm sure you guys are fantastic. It's the stereotype you're probably not trying to be. But we have this uncomfortableness with someone with us while we're making a decision to spend money. Some of us, when we go to a department store and someone asks us, "Can you help me?" are oftentimes we would say something along the lines of, "I'm just browsing," or "I'm just looking." I'll let you know if I need something. Just something along those lines, because we don't want to be influenced. We don't want to be sold. We don't want to be persuaded into buying something that we didn't want, because we all have bought something that we had a little bit of, we were unsure about it. Buyer's remorse is what that's called. And we do have, our clients do experience this. And so part of our process, part of our thinking this through, is to think about what could cause someone to have buyer's remorse when they're with us. Now, that's for a little bit later today. But we experience that, and so we want to avoid it. We don't want someone talking us into stuff, unless we already wanted to be talked into it. Because when you know you want something and you feel that need to talk to a salesperson, all of a sudden they become someone you want to be around. It's the same person. The difference wasn't them. The difference was you as the buyer. So one thing we have to do in order to make sure we don't sound salesy is to give someone reasons to want us, to want to reach out to us. You know this. But the how may be something that we can improve on. Hey, Miguel, glad you're here. And Rick, I saw some of your photographs last night. They were really, really good. In fact, hey, Dave, how's it going? Again, real quick, in case you're watching but you haven't done this, if you're watching live right now, I want you to enter in #live. But if you're watching the replay later on, right now, as I'm saying this, all of you will enter in #live. But later on today, tomorrow, a week from now, a year from now, I would appreciate if you would enter in #replay. That way, I know that I know the difference between them. So #live if you're here watching. So, hey, Alex, glad you're here. So we are talking about selling the experience without being salesy, and we're starting off by going with the stereotype. What is a salesperson? And a salesperson generally to us is, we're not putting them in the positive category. We put them in the annoying category, or the person who's going to try and talk you into something that you didn't need. And we want to avoid that kind of thing. But I want you to understand something. Every single portrait photographer, whether you like it or not, it's an irrelevant variable. Every single portrait photographer is a salesperson. Now, if you don't like salespeople, you probably don't like hearing that. But let me give you the real definition of a salesperson, not your stereotype. The real definition of a salesperson is someone who finds out what someone else wants and helps them to get it. So as a salesperson, you're just finding out what your prospects, and then what your clients want. What do they want? And then help them to get whatever it is that they want. That sounds pretty good to me. That doesn't sound like the stereotype that we think of salespeople. Because that stereotype is not an example of the norm. By the way, in life, that is normal. We have the stereotype of that profession or that group, that organization. It's just a stereotype. It's quite possible that there's someone within that group that actually is like that stereotype. All groups have all types. So, yeah, of course, there's an example of it. But just because there's an example of it does not mean that's what that group, that individual, that company, that organization, doesn't mean that's what they represent. So, are there bad salespeople? Yes. But that doesn't make all salespeople bad. You're a salesperson. Are you bad? You might think, well, I may be bad at sales. But it's more because we avoid it. But we're avoiding it because we don't want to be the stereotype. That's good. We don't want to be that stereotype, but we do want to help people get what they want. We wonderful creatives have that kind of mindset already. The majority of us. It's just normal. It's natural. I'm thinking about people putting in their About Me page. I actually care about my clients. It's okay to put that in your About Me, sure. But there aren't any of us that don't. We all care about our clients. Sure, there are examples, but those are the bad apples. Those are the bad salespeople. That's not the norm for creatives. We creatives really care. We really care. We care about everything all the way around. We care about our product, our work, being beautiful and something that we can be proud to share with others. And we want that to be something that our client is thrilled with, not satisfied. I mean, how many of us have thought, I want my client to just be satisfied, just satisfied. When someone walks into their home and sees that photograph that I created on their wall, that person is going to be nice and cordial. That guest is going to say, "Oh, that's so beautiful. Your family portrait looks great." And here's what satisfaction looks like. The mom looks at that photograph and says, "Yeah, it was all right." Okay, that's satisfied. Satisfied. I don't want satisfied, and neither do you. You want thrilled. You want your client saying, "Oh my gosh, this was the best experience I've ever had with a photographer." The whole process, from the beginning, the phone call, and then the planning for the session, and then the photography session, he or she was so wonderful, so kind, so helpful. And then when we saw the photographs, I just cried. And then it was printed, and now it's sitting here on my wall. I'm crying tears of joy every day of my life. This represents us. Which would you rather have? Yeah, come on. I know the answer to that one. You want them to be thrilled. By the way, for those of you who have been watching me for a long time, you probably know I have this already as part of what I'm doing, and that's the Thrilled Guarantee. Now, I didn't come up with the Thrilled Guarantee. This came from another photographer. In fact, I've seen it a couple of times. But let me tell you what my Thrilled Guarantee is. This is the Thrilled Guarantee. I absolutely guarantee that you will be thrilled and not just satisfied. Or I will do whatever it takes to make you thrilled. And if I can't, I'm going to give you your money back. That's my Thrilled Guarantee. We all want that. So guarantee what you want so you can actually constantly be thinking about it and live up to it. Now, I know when I first thought about this, I thought, no way, people are going to take advantage of that. No one's taking advantage of it. Besides, they wouldn't get their photographs, so there's no advantage to take advantage of it. I started doing that. It was either 2007 or 2008. I think it was 2008 when I started doing the Thrilled Guarantee. It's one of those 2 years. I don't think it was before that. It doesn't mean I didn't care before. It doesn't mean that you guys don't care now. It just means that I'm guaranteeing what I want to happen. Now, what does that cause me to do? It causes me to stop going after everybody. Because there are complainers out there. You've crossed paths with them. They're not fun. They drain you of your creative energy. And what are we without that? We have to have that creative energy. So therefore, we need to do a good job of choosing who our clients are. Now, we don't do that by having a lineup and choosing the best one, of course. The way we accomplish that is through our marketing message. We are very specific in what we do. If we were a tool in a tool store, we're not the multi-tool. Let's say that we were let's say we are a weed eater. Weed eater, all right? And let's say we did a poor job of describing who we were by saying, oh man, we spin fast and we cut things. And we last a long time, we are high quality, and people love us. Now, does that describe a weed eater? Yes. It also describes a Dremel, a circular saw, and several other tools that you can find at the tool store. So therefore, you're going to wind up with people who like what it is you described as yourself, but aren't going to like the result because it didn't cause them to get what they wanted. And isn't that your job as a portrait photographer? To get people what it is that they want? It starts not at the creation of the photographs. It starts well before that when you describe who you are and who you want to work with that doesn't drain you, who energizes you, and then creating a marketing message that surrounds that. And so you wind up putting yourself in the path of those who are most ideally wanting to work with you, and you most ideally wanting to work with. So not sounding salesy comes naturally because you are simply giving something that they want. Now, if you joined us not right at the beginning, I'll go over this again. A salesperson is simply someone who's trying to help someone else get what it is that they want. That's what a good salesperson is. That's what you are as a portrait photographer. You're helping someone else get what it is that they want. Meaning, you know a lot more about this than they do. So therefore, you can tell the difference between whether you're the right tool for the job or not. And just because you have the ability to press the shutter button in front of a subject does not mean you're the right tool for the job. Any more than that weed eater has the ability to do the job of a ceiling fan. Both spin fast. Both are, if you get a good one, high quality. Both can cut, although you'd never use a ceiling fan for that on purpose. We must do a good job of describing who it is that we are, so we only attract those who want what it is that we do. That's how we don't sound salesy. By the way, I also call this magnetic marketing. And the way I've described magnetic marketing since forever, I've been talking about this, is you want to attract those who want what it is that you do hard, but you also want to repel those who don't want what it is that you do. You've got to be very specific in order to make something like that happen. Now, repel does not mean to be mean or rude. It doesn't mean anywhere near that. It just means be so clear that someone who's going in the tool store for a screwdriver doesn't walk out with a hammer, because both are good tools. You're a good tool, but you're not the best tool for every situation that your client, that a prospect wants. So therefore, you take time to learn who they are. You visit with them. So for some of us, this is done on via a web form, so returned via email. For some of us, this is text. For some of it's in person. For me, a lot of times it's over the phone. Someone will call. Now, they often start off with the web form, but it usually turns into a call, which I like. Either a Zoom call, which a lot of times it ends up being after the phone call, or just a phone call. I like to hear the way someone is describing something. So, as far as a hierarchy in communication, text based communication is good. It is. Over the phone beats it though, because you can hear inflection and you can ask for clarification right away. In person, whether that's virtual in person or in person is next. And I would say in person is best between those two, but at least you can see someone. Because now we've added no longer, in addition to the inflections, we can now see body language. You can see eyes, you can see hand movements, you can see facial gestures, you can see all of this, and it adds to our ability to communicate. You know this. So that's where I want to head. But I start off with good communication right away. I've got a handful of things that I want to do. I want to build rapport. But I also want to know what it is that they want. Because sure, I can press the button in front of anything. But there are other tools out there, other photographers, who might be better. And my goal is to help them get what they want. That's my goal. And if it's not me, if I'm not the best option, then I'm going to recommend someone else. This happened just 2 days ago. I got a phone call for someone who watches the show. Someone, I referred someone who watches this show. But I got a call for something that I have the ability to do and I have done. And I think I'm pretty good at it. But I know I'm not the best. And that's what I imply to people when I work with them. I never say that. That would be silly. But I want them to get the impression that they're working with someone who is one of the best in the industry. I want them to feel that way. I want them to brag it to their own friends about it. I don't say it, but I like it when they do. So this person called and said, I'd like to set up an appointment for you to, and I'm not going to say what it was, but to photograph something specific. And it was something I had done before, but it had been a number of years since I had done it, and it's not something I specialize in. Those of you who are watching for the first time, I specialize in emotional family portraits as home decor. So if it doesn't fit that description, it's quite possible I'm not going to do it. It doesn't mean I'm not going to, though. I do other things. I do headshots. I do events. There are other things that I photograph, even mini sessions every once in a while. So yes, I do some of these other things, but usually those are to support the full sessions. Usually those are for that purpose of what can I do to make that kind of thing grow and work with the people that I want to work with. I don't have time for everyone. You don't have time for everyone. You may be thinking, well, I'm having a hard enough time getting clients in as it is. I've got to take what I can get. I have to tell you, that mindset will cause you problems. Now, if you're a hustler and you can make things happen, you may not notice that it's causing you problems. But you've really got to hustle to make that not show. The best thing you can do is define who you are and what you want, so that you have destinations to head towards. Just like if you're driving, if you define where you're going, you can find the roads to get there. You can plan that path. You can make sure you've got enough money and gas to be able to make it. But unless you know where you're going, you can't plan anything into it. So this is what we must do. Hey, Shelby. I'm glad you're here. So that first thing is the phone call. They're calling me. That's my first opportunity to visit with them. I'm listening to them. I'm asking them questions about who they are and what their goals are, what we're trying to accomplish here. So for family portraits, it's going to be different than if you're doing high school seniors and compared to headshots, compared to weddings, compared to events. Yes, it's all different. So you ask the appropriate questions for the type of work that you do, for the type of tool that you are. For me, for family portraits, I'm almost always talking to mom. Almost always. It's very rare that I am speaking with dad. And it's never a kid. So I'm speaking with mom. I'm finding out who she is. What's important to her? What's important about her family? I ask questions like, what's most important to you about your family? Not portrait, not what's most important about your family portrait. That's my job. The portrait's my job. But I want to find out what's most important about her family. And a lot of times she doesn't know the answer right away. She has to stop and think about it. And at that moment, I'm silent. I'm letting her think about it. I'm not pushing her in any direction. That's what pushy salespeople do. We are salespeople, but we're not pushy. Speaking of pushy, I'll tell you a quick story. This is during a portrait selection consultation. Someone who is also a photography teacher, so I'm not going to say who it is, because this person is fantastic, wonderful, loving, kind, considerate, but this person had a difference, had not experienced salespeople who weren't pushy. She just thought the sales process was pushy, and she actually did not want to go into the business of photography for that reason alone, because she didn't want to be a pushy salesperson. That's fine. This is a misunderstanding, though. A pushy salesperson is doing it wrong. So she asked if she could sit in on a sales presentation, which I don't call that. I don't call it that. I call it a portrait selection consultation. So here's the route that things take. There's the phone call, and we'll come back to that in a moment. And then we have the planning session, which I do in their home. I'll come back to that. Then the session itself, and then the process that happens afterwards that we all go through. We upload our photographs. We cull the images so we're not showing them every single one, and there's a good reason to do that. And then we have the presentation. Now, some of us do in-person sales. Some of us put our photographs online. Some of them just give the images away. I'm not telling you what's best or how to do your job. I'm only telling you how I do mine. So I show them their photographs. My images do not leave my control until they're done. Completely done. So therefore, I'm showing them these photographs. Now, I may create during a session, and sessions normally last half an hour, maybe an hour, full sessions. And I will show them between 25 and 40. It depends. If there's a large family and I'm doing all kinds of combinations, this number is going to be on the high end, and it's possible that's more than 40. I don't like it to go over 40, and the reason is because it takes too much time to go through the images. All right, so I'm showing these images to this family, and this photography teacher is there watching what's going on. Now, she wasn't there for the phone call. She wasn't there for the planning session. She wasn't there for the session itself. She wasn't there for the culling of the images. She was only there for the sales presentation part. Now, she's expecting, no, she knows my average sale was, I say was because I'm not actively doing the photography side. I'm not marketing it. I still do some, but I'm not marketing anymore. But when I was active in doing this, the last 3 years were 2017, 18, and 19. And during those 3 years, my average sale in a family portrait was $3,800. And so she was aware of this, and she figured, well, he's he's got some tricks and things that he does to manipulate and push and persuade someone to do that. She was very curious, not because she wanted to implement it, but she was just very curious. How does a person get to that average sale of 3,800. And so she sat in on this presentation. This particular one was at my studio. Generally, I do this in someone's home, but this particular one was at my studio, which made it very easy for her to be there. So she's just in a corner observing. She's not talking or anything. In fact, they probably forgot she was there because she was just observing. So we go through the images, we choose what it is that they want, and we're done within 20 minutes, 30 minutes. We've chosen the wall portrait that they want, the smaller portraits that they want, like small 8x10s and 5x7s, the little ones, and I add up the total, and it's 4,100. And they hand me a card. I run it, and we're done. They leave. We turn the lights back on because the presentation is a slideshow presentation with a projector. So we turn the lights back on after they leave, and she's just looking at me, and you didn't even sell, much less be pushy. How did you do that? And I told her it's because I sell before there is something to sell. To buy. Sorry. I sell before there's something to buy. For me, the sales process begins over the phone, where I'm finding out who they are and what it is that they want, what they're proud of, what they enjoy, what they see as their bright future. And I create for that. And then when I do the second part of this, where we do where we go to their home, and I am in the environment where this photograph is going to be displayed. So therefore, I know what size it's supposed to be. I know its dimensions. I know whether it's a vertical or a horizontal. I can envision everything about it, like what frame is supposed to go on it. Because I've been in the location it's going to be displayed, so therefore I can customize it to that specific location. A lot of you guys think that customization just means because you press the button. That's not what customization is, guys. Because you're doing the exact same thing for that client, and then the next client, and then the next client. It's not customized. It's not what customized means. Customized means singular. I'm creating for this one space, for this one family, at this one time in their lives. Total customization. I can see the size that it's supposed to be. In my mind's eye, of course. And yes, I do bring a tape measure with me. And my tape measure, I guess I could show you that real quick, has my logo on it. So, and I've got 2 or 3 of those. They're each one's different. One of them's a laser one. That one's the coolest one, the laser one. Anyway, I already know what size it's supposed to be. I know what dimensions it's supposed to be. And so therefore, I've already given them an estimate of what it's going to cost. So when we get to that sales process, I'm not selling anything. In fact, if anything, something else that she mentioned, she noticed, was I talk them out of something. Now, who does that? I do that. Because I already know what it is that they want and what their purpose is for the things that they want. And so if they were getting something else, I want to know what that purpose is. I guess I can tell you that story too. It doesn't take long. All right, so during the initial planning session where we found out what it is that they want, we saw the space that it was going to go into. I suggested clothing that matches the room that it was going to go into. I knew the size, I knew the frame that was most ideal for it, and so I knew what frame I was going to be selling them. And so because I'm in the environment, if I'm not in the environment, I can't know any of those variables. I'm just doing what every other photographer does. If I don't know where this photograph is going to wind up, then I'm not doing anything to stand out from the crowd of photographers. I'm part of them. I don't want to do that. I want to stand out. So I'm in their home. I'm finding out who they are. I can see the decor that's in the home. I can see the colors And we know exactly what we need to do in order to make it happen. I know what clothing colors and style they need to wear. I know what location to match the colors in their room based on their goals, their philosophies, the things they're proud of. By the way, a pretty park is almost never where we go. The popular places, and for San Antonio, Texas, I know some of you are watching from further away, but for San Antonio, Texas, there's some popular spots. There's the Pearl, there's the McNay, there's the Tower. I can actually go on and on. I'm going to stop there though. There are a lot of places like the Elan Hotel. There's a lot of places where photographers go, and they're beautiful. They're great. But for a family portrait, my job is to portray them, not to add me into it by choosing a spot that I think is pretty, but by choosing a location that has an emotional connection to them. Now, let's say they're new to the area, then they don't have an emotional connection to anywhere except maybe their home. So that's probably where we're going to do it. But if that's not the case, then we do go to plan B, and that's the pretty places where all the other photographers go. But that's plan B. It's not plan A. During that design consultation, it's the planning session, I also find out who else is going to want photographs in your family and what else might you be doing with these photographs. And so a lot of times mom wants one for her desk, dad wants one for his desk or maybe his wall. And they, of course, can't forget grandma's on both sides, and both of them need an 8x10. So I already know during that planning session everything they want. So therefore, during the session, I am making sure that I create exactly what it is that they said they wanted. Because that's the job of a salesperson or a portrait photographer, and a portrait photographer, is to give them what they want. If I haven't found out what they want, then I make it impossible to be a good salesperson, and I become that pushy, stereotypical salesperson, which we don't want to be. I've already found out what it is that they want. I create that for them during the portrait session. And while I'm doing that portrait session, I tell them, this is it. This is the one we got for that space we were talking about. Or I've just created the one for grandma's. This is the one that grandma's going to love. We got it. And in my mind, I've checked that one off and I'm moving on to something else. I don't wander around a location. Why would I be so rude to them? Their time is important. So is mine. So we do what it was that we set out to do. We never rush. Never. We take our time. And even in taking our time, it's still only the last half an hour to an hour. Because we know what we're doing. We're heading down a path that leads us to the destination that we want. There's a lot of good things that we could do. But we're only doing the things that accomplish the goal. Now, sure, there's some things that happen along the way. There's some silliness that goes on, of course. So yes, we do additional images than what we had planned, of course. But it's not a massive amount more. My goal is not quantity. My goal is just to get the job done in the way that makes them the most proud. And it's not creating massive number of images saying that hopefully one of them will be good. That's crazy. Especially when you have the ability to communicate with your clients ahead of time. By the way, I've come across many photographers. I've had 4,000 photographers so far come through my classes. And so it shouldn't surprise you. I've had many that have told me about their senior portrait session, their family portrait session, their maternity session, that they photographed 800, 900, 1,000 or more images. Man, you must have more time in your day than I do. I've only got 24. If you've got 30, then I think you should start teaching a class on time bending because you're going to become a millionaire. And then you can buy all the equipment you want for your camera, your passion. Yeah. If you don't have, if you only have 24 like me, stop creating that many images. You're wasting your time and you're wasting theirs. To me, that's a red flag saying you don't know what you're doing. That's why quantity plays a role. Well, if I get enough, they're bound to like one. We all do that, though, especially because of digital. If you started with film, if you started more than 20 years ago, then you probably started with film, and you would never have done such a thing because you had to pay for every roll and all the processing. Now with digital, you just press that button thinking, well, it doesn't cost me anymore. Yes, it does. It adds stress. It adds time. And your time has value. If you've been with me for a while, if you've been watching these shows, the Portrait Profit show, then you are well aware that your time has value, and you probably know exactly how much time your time is worth per hour, for every hour, not just photography time. For most of us, every hour that we as photographers work is worth 120, 150, 200, maybe more. Every hour, not just photography time. And there's photographers out there that are charging less than that for photography time alone. You guys got to stop. You are causing your own problems. And you're not even making minimum wage. Talk about the worst boss ever. You're both boss and employee, and you haven't thought this through enough to know that you're not even paying yourself minimum wage? That's a bad boss. You would never work for you. Be a good boss. Pay your employee, which is also you in this instance, something that is worth what they do. By the way, if you need help with that, finding out how much you're worth per hour, finding out about your price list, then take advantage of my let me put this on the screen. I do a free business assessment consultation. All you have to do is sign up. Landers Photography School, business assessment consultation. Do you see that right there at the bottom? Do a screenshot, come back to it later. Calendly.com, photo school, 30 MIN. It's, yep, that simple. Let me, I'm going to put that in chat real quick. There we go. All right, so I just posted that on the different Facebook pages that we're simulcasting to. That way, all you have to do is click that link. That's a link to my calendar, directly to my calendar. Just click it, find a time that works for you, and we'll go over that price list or whatever business-related subject you want to. It's free. And no, I'm not selling anything during it. It's your time. Now, if you ask me questions about the classes, I'm going to answer your questions. So that would be I would be talking about what I have to sell. But the purpose of that is very simple. Help you get something that pushes you in the right direction. And the right direction is different for everybody, so it's your right direction. So that's where you find that. By the way, I also want to let you know that I do a lunch with Landers. I take a photographer to lunch every single week. And that is, I'm going to put that one in chat as well. Here we go. So this is Lunch with Landers. Every Tuesday, I buy someone lunch, a photographer, a portrait photographer. If you haven't had lunch with me yet, then use this link that's coming right now into your into Facebook. I think it goes to our YouTube channels too. Yep. It looks like it's not showing up in all of them. Anyway, you have it right there on the screen. So just go, this again is my calendar, but this one only shows Tuesdays at noon, or 11:15 to be specific. And so I take a photographer to lunch every single week. I'm buying. You just have to get yourself there, which isn't as cheap as it used to be with gas prices being over $4 a gallon. It might cost you a little bit of money to come see me, but I'm paying once we get there. This is just something I do for photographers, and because it is in person, that is limited to those who are in San Antonio, Texas, where I'm based, unless you just happen to be coming into town for some reason. It is there's been a handful that have come in from out of town, but they were here for some other reason. They didn't come just for lunch. You're welcome to do that. For others, that might seem silly. That's fine. So lunch with Landers, take advantage of it. Every week, I take a photographer to lunch. I'm going to take that banner off. Here we go. All right, so because I know who they are. I've been in their environment. I know what it is that they want. When it's finally time to do the sales presentation, I've already sold everything. At this point, we're just we've got boxes filled. We've got boxes, we just need to fill them. So they know exactly what they want. We've talked about it already. Now, the only thing that's left to do is to choose the exact image that's going to fill that space. That's it. Now, I mentioned it before, and now I'm coming back to it, that one of the things in this story, they asked for something that wasn't something they had asked for before, and that's fine. That's not an issue. But I asked them what the purpose of that print would be. Is this a gift? Is this going on a different wall? And they're like, I don't know. I just kind of like it. And that alone is a good enough reason. However, I went to it a little bit further and found they really didn't have a purpose for it. And I thought, if you're not sure what the purpose is, then do you really want to spend the money on it? It was, I don't remember what size. It was either an 8x10 or 11x14. So on my price list, that's between 350 and 650. My 8x10s are 350, and my 11x14s are 650. So somewhere in that range. And now that's not something that we talked about at that moment. What I talked about was, at some point, because we become friends with our clients, at some point you're going to invite us, my wife and I, over for a dinner party. And you're going to go to a drawer to grab something and open it up, and my photograph's going to be in there. And that's going to hurt my feelings. I want you to have a purpose for the photograph. And if not, well, I still have it. You can buy it at any time. And there was actually more to the story than that, but I want to cut it short because I'm looking at the time. But she said, you know what? I think I'll take your advice on that, because I do like it, but I don't know what the heck I would do with it. And you're right. If I buy a photograph and it's just sitting somewhere, it's in a stack, it's underneath the bed, it's in a drawer, then I don't know if that's a good use for it. Now, sometimes it is. Sometimes it's a funny one, and I can see the reason for it. But this one was so similar to another one that I just didn't see the value in it. And a lot of times I do see the value. This is one of those rare instances. But it was this photography teacher that was there watching said, you even took something off of the list and still had, it was $4,100 was the total sale. I think that was 41, maybe 61. It was higher than my average. Let's just go with 41. So, even after taking that one off, it still is above the average. This person observing me was like, I thought you would probably be like a pushy salesperson. I thought you'd be clever and be good at it, but I just pictured it. There's no way someone could have that high a sales average and not be a pushy salesperson. And my thought is the total opposite. There is no way someone could have that high a sales average and be a pushy salesperson. There's no way. That happened because they already knew ahead of time how much they could plan on investing. And so when I gave them the number and it was right around what I predicted, all I did was keep my word. They knew ahead of time. So let me tell you what I say in that instance. During that planning session where we've defined what it is they're going to get, I added up in my head. Now, I don't have my price list with me at that point in time. I don't show my price list. I don't give my price list to people. It's just on a regular piece of paper. I don't give it to anyone. Now, if they want a photograph of their phone so they have it, that's fine. I let them do that. But I think it's a waste of time to have a pretty price list. It just serves no purpose in the way that I do business. Now, I do see some ways of doing business that this is beneficial. I do agree sometimes that it's the right thing to do, but for me, it's a waste. It's not something I need. So at the planning session, when I knew what size they were going to get on the wall and what size they wanted for themselves and for gifts, I said, all right, before we go any further, can I give you an indication of how much you can plan on investing? And of course, they say yes to that. Most people in your situation will invest between, and I give them a ballpark. And my ballpark's relatively accurate because I have a good idea of what it is that they want. And I have the ability to give them what it is that they want. So let's throw some numbers out there. Most people in your situation will invest between $2,500 and $5,000 and get a larger one for themselves and some smaller ones as gifts. Does that fit within your budget? Now, I say all of that out. I'm not saying a piece of it and having them respond, and then another piece and have them respond. Nope, I say it all the way out. So one more time. Before we go any further, can I give you an indication of how much you can plan on investing? Yes. Most people in your situation invest between $2,500 and $5,000 and get a larger one for themselves and some smaller ones as gifts. Does that fit within your budget? Now, why would I say it all the way out? For instance, if I just gave a ballpark figure, they would say, what do I get for that? So because I can anticipate that's the question, I just answer it. A larger one for themselves and smaller ones as gifts. Now, I'm going to be specific in what they said, so I'm just saying it that way. But I'm going to be more specific and two for grandma and two for you. I'll be a little bit more specific. I'm still generalizing it because there is sometimes a change between that moment and when they actually order. So therefore, I'm not being 100% specific because I'm fine with the leeway. They can choose whatever they want at that final session, the portrait selection consultation. They can choose whatever they want, but I want to give them a ballpark. And so I know that they're going to say, what do I get for that? So I just preempt that by telling them what they get for that. And then I'm saying, does that fit within your budget? Because if they come back with, I was thinking this would be under $100. If they come back with something like that, well, then I know that this is too far out of their norm. And it might end the sale. It may not. There have been people that said, I've only worked with people who charge 100 or 200 or 300 or 400. There have been people who have said that. But they also say, but I can see that this is something totally different. And I do want this for my family. And so most of the time they do it. There's been times when they haven't, but that's not the norm. Now, most of the time they can see how different this is. Now you may think, well, they can't afford it. Guys, my average sale was $3,800. They can afford it. Now, can everybody? No, you don't have time for everybody. So the fact that there are people who can't afford it is an irrelevant variable. It's true, but just because it's true doesn't mean it affects you. So they know approximately how much they're going to be spending. And I also tell them during that planning session how the rest of this goes, how I do business. I tell them that at the end of the planning session is when I get my creation fee. I tell them that over the phone before we even put the planning session on the books. And then when we are there in person, talking about the session itself and what I do after the session, and then the portrait selection consultation, and then the delivery and installation. By the way, yes, I deliver to my clients and I install it on their wall. It's done. I don't want to give my clients more work to do. So, roofers don't do that. They don't give you any work to do. They're a service also. But we're an artist. And if an artist doesn't complete their work, then I'm thinking they're more business person than they are artist. You have to complete your work, in my opinion. Now, I don't want everybody to complete the work. It's real easy to sell against those guys. So I actually don't want everybody to change. I want you to do what you feel is best, because I know how to sell against you. Also because even if everyone was doing it right, it wouldn't change me. I want to do what's right for my client, and my definition of what's right may be very different than yours, which means you're right and I'm right. Two rights, even though they're very different. But to me, completing the job, getting it printed, getting it framed, doing the final stuff like signing gold foil, heated ballpoint pen. I sign in gold on the front. And then I put contact information on the back, identifying information on the back of the print with a big Landers Photography black sticker with gold print on it. So that's what that's what I'm doing. I deliver it. It's installed on their wall. I photograph it on their wall. I photograph them standing in front of it because they are thrilled, and do a video of them talking about how thrilled they are, because all photographers can show a good photograph. That puts you in the crowd. But how many photographers have printed their work and have a photograph of it on their client's wall? Not a lot. Take that one step further. Always one up. How can we one up your photograph on someone's wall? Them standing with it. How can we one up that? A video of them talking about it, being excited about it, sharing how they feel. Good marketing. So these are ways that I don't come across as being salesy, because I find out who they are, what they want. And if I'm the right tool, I make it happen. If I'm not the right tool, then I would have to be salesy in order to get it to them. And I don't want to be. Not into that. I want them to want what it is that I do. I don't want to talk them into it. It doesn't feel good. So they're working with me, or they're not. It's a magnetic marketing situation. If I am the right tool to help them get what they want, then I make it happen. If I am not the right tool, if there's someone else who I feel is better, I will recommend that tool. Because, guys, we are all just tools in the tool store. We all are good. We all do something a little different. We all have different experiences, different equipment, and different knowledge of the equipment that we have. We all produce something different. So therefore, if we're all that way and we're all different, then we're all just in a crowd and we don't stand out from it. So how do we stand out from it? By doing the things we discussed today. I hope you guys have fun with this. Tina, I appreciate you saying that. Relationship selling. Mm-hmm. You're forming friendships with these guys. Integrity. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Now, Again, if you're watching live, would you do me a favor and enter in hashtag live so I know you're watching it live? If you're watching this as a replay, hashtag replay. But those of you who are watching right now as I'm speaking, hashtag live. And I have a promo code for Digital Pro Lab that I'm going to share with you. Let me put that into the banner so you can see it. Amanda's not going to be able to be with us because she's hiring. They are growing, and their team is growing because we are demanding it, which is great. Digital Pro Lab provides a service that causes us to look like heroes to our clients, and Amanda is key in making that happen. She's got a fantastic team that she and Ray have put together, and they are further growing that as we speak. And so I want to share with you the promo code for this week. Now, this is going to end on Sunday, a week, so it ends before the next Portrait Profit show. So go to digitalprolab.com and enter in this code. That doesn't say what the code is, does it? Did I not get that part? I might have to reach out to her because I don't know what the promo code is here. Dang it. All right, so what I do know is that if you're watching this show either live or as a replay, you're going to get 40% off a 30 by 40 gallery wrapped canvas. Now, I hope you guys see how huge, not in the size 30 by 40, but the percentage off of it. That's huge. Please take advantage of that. Now, I think you're going to need to call her and clarify what the promo code is. And I'll do the same. But if you want to take advantage of that 30 by 40 gallery wrap canvas, 40% off. Man, that's awesome. Just reach out to Digital Pro Lab. And you may be right. That's what it kind of looks like, but that just seems like I don't know. Code is in. I mean, that in could be in quotes. Maybe. You can try it. That seems like an odd promo code, but maybe that's it. I don't know. Reach out to her and ask, but definitely take advantage of that. Man, that is so cool. By the way, can you guys see my background? I was just looking at something here. By the way, this is a real background. All these items are real. But this was a gift from fellow photographer John Kane, and I thought this was just a super cool tool. It's a reflector that gets really small. Opens back up and then connects. Isn't that a cool tool? Old flash. Yep, I like stuff like that. I collect old photography gear. I've got, I don't know, 100 and some odd cameras that have been gifted to me over the years. All right. So again, 40% off a 30 by 40 gallery wrap canvas. Take advantage of that by reaching out to Amanda at Digital Pro Lab. I agree. That is an awesome discount. All right. Well, I don't see any questions or additional comments. But if you guys do have any last second questions before I end this live, then feel free. I'm going to tell you a couple, if you have any questions, I'm going to tell you a couple of announcements while you're doing that. So, Landers Photography School has a Photo 101 summer class that begins on June 1st. It's a morning class that begins on Wednesday, June 1st, and then that Friday, and then Monday, Wednesday, Friday of the week after. So 6th, 8th, and 10th, 9:30 in the morning. So sign up for that at landersphotoschool.com. Put that up on the screen, landersphotoschool.com. And Portrait Profits is every single Monday. Every Monday. We don't miss it unless there's no electricity or there's an ice storm. Yeah. You probably remember last year, 2021, San Antonio had an impressive ice storm, and it was the second day that we were going to be, second Monday, that we had ever done Portrait Profits. So our very second show didn't happen. And then there was one time last fall that my electricity just blinked off and came back on, and the internet never did come back on. So, well, it did, but the show was almost over by the time it came back. But other than that, we're here every single Tuesday for you, uplifting the photography community, because that's what we love doing. And I hope you guys love it too. Next Monday, we're going to be talking about how to say it. How to say what? Well, vocabulary is important. And just recently it was brought to my attention on the by Miguel Caldera on his Facebook page, San Antonio Photography. And by the way, go to Facebook, San Antonio Photography, so you can see his page. If you're not already a member, well, become a member. It's real easy. It's free. But one of the things that he commented on was Facebook flags or takes out or does something to certain words that we photographers tend to use. Well, if you want to stand out from the crowd, one thing you can do is stop using the slang and sound professional. That doesn't mean you need to do that. It may be better suited for your clients or for who you are to fill, to say it as slang. And so what we're going to do is talk about different options, not tell you which way is best. I'm going to tell you which way I feel is best, but it's up to you. We're going to go over several. In fact, we'll go over a list, amongst other things. We're going to go over a list of popular words or descriptions for photographers that we use, and an alternative way of saying it. We photographers, sometimes we use words interestingly. For instance, you guys have heard me say this one before. I went to a photographer's website, this is several years ago, and this photographer's work was nice. It really was. But she said something very specific that caught my attention, and it's, I specialize in, and I counted the number of things that she specialized in. It was 27. 27 things does not make you a specialist. It makes you a generalist. So we creatives like to create our own definitions for words, apparently. Yeah, we've all done that. Maybe not that particular one, but we've all done that. So that's what we'll be talking about next week at noon on Monday. Put it on your calendars, is how to say it. Now, I hope you guys take advantage of what I have here at landersphotoschool.com, including private coaching and including classes. The clients that I work with tend to do pretty darn well. But they, of course, have to implement what I'm teaching. But there's a lot of work that goes into it. But once you've done the work, it's smooth sailing. For the most part. Because that's just the nature of it. We get things going, they get rolling, you've got momentum. It's a whole lot easier to push a car that you've already started pushing than to begin the pushing on it. Momentum. Man, makes a difference. And I'll show you how. But first, take advantage of the business assessment consultation. Just get something for free. Find out what I'm all about. Take advantage of that. I am so glad you guys are here. But we're getting close to ending. Oh, thank you, Dave. Yeah. I think what you just said applies to everyone. We all do. Yep. Thank you for sharing that. And one last reminder, I don't know what the promo code is, but you're getting a 30 by 40 gallery wrapped canvas. So reach out to Digital Pro Lab, find out what that promo code is, and take advantage of that, because that is a fantastic deal. Man, 40% off. That's awesome. Thank you very much, Amanda at Digital Pro Lab, for making this happen for the viewers of the Portrait Profit Show. By the way, please share this with others. When we uplift others, we are uplifting ourselves. Everyone moves up. Share this with your friends who are also photographers. It's not a secret. It's not a secret. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be shared with others. Because when we all are growing, everything becomes better. Our clients start seeing our prices that cause us to make a profit as being normal. And those who have the extremely low prices as just being the new guys. They haven't been doing this for very long, or they've just stuck in their ways. But as we all grow to an amount that causes us to be profitable, that starts to become the norm. But it's up to us to make it happen. So share this show with your friends. Share this with the groups that you're in, like San Antonio Photography Facebook page. Share this with others. For Landers Photography School and Digital Pro Lab, this is Jim Landers bringing you the weekly Portrait Profit Show, giving you evolving content, awareness, and even fun to the business side of photography. Through helpful information, step-by-step processes, action steps that will help you with the struggles you deal with now, so you are constantly realigned to the success you deserve. Be here every Monday and experience a different way of looking at the business side of photography. Thank you for investing your time here at the Portrait Profit Show. Bye for now.